In this video, I'm going to walk you through the piece Vals, which is simply Spanish for waltz. Waltz is a dance in 3/4 time. This particular one was written for the guitar and demonstrates some new concepts for us for note reading, which I will walk through at the end. So first I'll play you the piece so you can listen to it, hear what it sounds like, and then I will bring up the sheet music and go through that with you. Here's the piece. Okay, so I'm going to turn the stand toward you and go through some of the details with the sheet music, which you have a copy of. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to move back a little bit so you can see my right hand. So we've got the very first measure, and it's in 3/4 time. Every measure is just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The way I recommend playing this with your right hand is to do thumb and ring finger, and then use index and middle for those third and second strings open. So one way of starting to practice this piece is to just get used to this right hand technique. Because you're doing that very consistently throughout. Now, another thing to be aware of right away is the key signature here, which is you have an F sharp. That means every F is going to be played 1 fret higher or to the right. Remember, a sharp raises the note a half step. That sharp is on the 5th line of the staff, therefore it is an F sharp. And so that means when we play this first string, first fret normally, we would play it here. We're instead going to play it here, F sharp. When we play the note that's written as 6th string, 1st fret, we're actually going to play it 6th string, 2nd fret, because it's an F sharp. And you do have that right here. Okay, so keep that in mind. All Fs throughout are sharp. So we've got the right hand technique of ring and thumb at the same time, index and middle on the 3rd and 2nd strings respectively. Then what I'll recommend to you is just to assign each finger to a string for plucking. So when I play this next measure and the notes are E, F sharp, G, E, F sharp, G, I'm going to be just plucking those with my ring finger only. Now, don't forget that you have the bass note at the same time. So that measure again. So we're going to use our thumb for all of the bass notes, notes on the 6th string, 5th string, and 4th string. Okay, this note here is a B, and it sits above the first ledger line above the staff, and that's going to be my 1st string 7th fret, and you should have a marker there. It should sound like this. It's an octave higher than your second string open. Okay, so we have the first three measures. And you're doing quite a bit of these open strings throughout as the accompaniment. And then we're back to, or for the first time, I should say, this fifth string, second fret B, which is, you'll play that with your thumb. Okay, so the first four measures, and another thing to point out in this accompaniment, which we do a lot in guitar notation, is it is specifically written with stems up being your melody and stems down being your accompaniment. So all of those stems up notes are the melody, which is important because you want to bring that out louder. So we want to hear that top note to be louder. You'll pluck a little bit louder for that. You could also consider using rest stroke for that, but you have to get out of the way right away because you're going to need to pluck those other strings. That's a little more advanced, but if you're ready for that, you can experiment with that. Okay, that's the first half of the first phrase. Then the second half of that phrase starts with this, essentially it's a B7 chord. We're used to playing it like this, but we're going to play it here, same notes, except we're not using the fourth string. So we've got the fifth string, second fret, at the same time as the first string, second fret. Both of those are pressed down. And then we have our third string, second fret, along with the second string open played at the same time. Should sound like that. And you'll see that that is, or you'll remember hopefully that is an F sharp because of our key signature, okay? We add the pinky here to get the G, and then we take it back off to get the F sharp. And then we're right back to these open strings. And then the B. Now at this point, that whole phrase starts over again. And we repeat those next 8 measures almost exactly until we get to this measure here before the double bar line. That double bar line, it's not one thick and one thin like the end of the piece. It's 2 thin regular bar lines. That often is used to indicate a new section is about to happen, or a break and starting a new section. So some composers will use that. These are rests, which rests does not mean only that you do not play there. It also means that there is actual silence there. So they've given us a rest for the melody notes, and they've given us rests for the bass notes. What that means is we want to stop these notes from ringing so that it's actual silence there. You're going to do that with your right hand. So if I'm jumping to this measure here, I'm going to play here, and I'm stopping it with my right hand. That's the best way to do it. Do rests when possible with your plucking hand. Okay, then we start this next little section. We start on that B7 chord again. We've already done that exactly right here. And now we're here. Now I'm going to go to this next part, and here the notation is a little tricky. We know we have an A and another A and a C. That's basically an A minor chord without the fourth string. So we do. Now we're going to play these 3 notes at the same time. Same notes that you just played, but now all 3 at the same time. So these 2 measures, or these 4 beats rather, are, if you look at my right hand, what's tricky here, and what I often find with students, is that they will accidentally assume that these are open strings and play that as a G and a B instead of what they actually are, right where I'm pointing, which is a B and a D. So you're not going to lift the fingers off. You're actually going to slide them up to a B and a D on the second and third strings still. Now they show using fourth and third finger. Okay, let's break this down first. So notice we have two notes, B and D, which we normally play on the same string at the same time. It's not possible to play two notes on the same string at the same time. So we have to move one of those notes to a different string. And the rule that we can follow, which is very simple, is that when you have two notes that are normally played on the same string at the same time, you move the lowest note, in this case B, to the next lower string. So normally we play that B as second string open. We're going to instead play that B on third string, fourth fret. Those are the same pitch. You hear that? Third string, fourth fret, second string open. They have a little different timbre because open strings sound differently than fretted strings, but they are the same pitch. By doing that, it enables us to play the, where did I go? Here we go. It enables us to play the D above it where we normally do, which is second string, third fret. So now, if you look at my left hand here, you can do that. That's the fingering they have written in. I like this better. Just sliding that up. Then you don't have to change fingers at all. Okay, has a really nice sound. Then we are to here, open strings. Now I've written a 1 here for the reason that you are preparing to go to this B7 chord. If you do a 2 there like we normally do in some of the other places there, I'm talking about your left hand, second finger, then you're going to get stuck and have to switch when you get to this B7 chord again. So I would use a 1 there so that you can already have your finger there and then just add the other 2. Now be careful here. You may assume that it's going to go like it did before, where we went up to the G above the F sharp. Actually, this one is different. It goes below to the E and then back to the F sharp. So you're lifting off that third finger. If I play from, I'll play from this measure here. I'll play these 3 measures. And then you can just use a third finger. Then we are here, open strings. Now we have a different little section here, a transition, 4 measures, which is going to lead us back to how we started at the beginning of the piece. And you can see another double bar line, which indicates that we're going back to or toward a new section. This happens to be exactly like the first almost 16 measures of the piece. So let's start here at what I'm calling this transition measure. We have a 5th string 3rd fret in the left hand. This is basically like a C chord without that second finger. We don't need it because we're not strumming. So we're just plucking 5th string and then 2nd and 1st. You can see my right hand. Now, these next 9 notes here is a gradually descending bass line with some sharps in there, and then that's a natural note, cancels the sharp. This is actually reminding you that it's a natural, because technically this bar line would cancel any sharp. Okay, so here we go from this transition. I'm gonna do these all with my thumb. That brings us up to right there, that F sharp note. That's why I played 6th string 2nd fret, not 1st fret. remember always our key signature tells us we've got to play that F sharp. So just doing this transition again, we've got this basic like a C chord. Then I have the notes C, B, A sharp, B, C, B, A natural, G, F sharp, and then that leads me right back to how I started the piece. So you're doing the same thing that we did at the beginning. Everything is identical. Then we repeat it. Now, okay, that's a little different. Here, when we get to this very end, that's the only difference. And what we're doing is we're playing these two notes the same, but then these three notes, which are what are called harmonics, and I believe, although it's very hard for me to see from this angle, H-A-R. Okay, so some publications use different abbreviations for it, so they have H-A-R for harmonics. A harmonic is when you pluck a string, you put your left hand finger over a fret, over the fret wire, not between the frets, and instead of pressing down, you just touch your finger or block the string and then pluck. So I'm not pressing down, I'm just blocking the string while plucking, and then I have to get out of the way so that the string can vibrate. And it has a particular sound. It's basically what we consider a special effect on the guitar. You can do harmonics on any stringed instrument, including the violin, the cello, the viola, mandolin, banjo, etc. We use them as a little special color or timbral change on the guitar. You can play them at the same time. You can play them in different frets. The easiest place to do it is at the 12th fret. So when it says H-A-R 12, they show the regular note, which is that third string open, and what that's telling you is instead do it at the 12th fret and do a harmonic. So again, if I turn this way, I'm not playing where we normally play. I'm playing over on top of the 12th fret wire. That's the only way you'll get a clear sound. If I do it here, it doesn't work. It has to be over the fret wire. And then you lift off. So it shows the G, the B, and the E notes, G, B, E, but it shows you as harmonics at the 12th fret. Now we want to do that while this E is still ringing. So we're going to do for this last measure. And then it does have the rest, so I should, although I didn't do this before because I forgot, we should do the rests right away, just like we did the rests here. So the last two measures, and that's the end of our piece. That was a long-ish tutorial, but had a lot to cover. I hope that's helpful. You can rewatch this as many times as possible, slow it down, play along with it faster when you're ready.